Welcome to Momentum Monday. Howard, how is riding with Lance Armstrong?
Pretty cool. The not much of a celebrity hound, but it was cool to just see someone who's forgetting all the noise, top of his sport. I got to follow him for a few seconds down a mountain, and he got bored of me after about 20 seconds and took off. It was like watching a rocket go. So pretty cool.
Does he invest
in
the stock market? You didn't ask?
I didn't ask him. Didn't no one was chatty with him. Let's get right into it. It's Monday. What do we got? July
16th.
And we're in the second half of the year, and this is the launch of earnings season. We had the banks on Friday. We had Netflix today.
Yeah.
And so let's get right to it as usual.
Can you see my screen with MarketSmith? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So as usual, we got market data from MarketSmith and charts. So let's get right into it. The headlines tomorrow will be all Netflix. It's not the real story. The media will love this story because they like telling the story that like 5 stocks have made up 98% of the gains this year, but really it's not anything like that. There's a lot of stocks doing great. And so you can see from the Nasdaq here, it's just really strong. We got summer doldrums. But let's get into some individual names.
Yeah, Nasdaq is at all-time highs. And as you said, market breadth has been improving. We have more than 70% of stocks trading above their 200-day. So it's not just because of the 5 big names.
Yeah.
And of course, Netflix is down more than 10% after hours. And for sure, tomorrow we'll see probably slight gap downs.
I think there's going to be a rotation. If we look at Disney today, even after hours, it didn't budge. So I think, listen, people want some fresh names. The people that are in the market are going to rotate some money. There's no reason to pull out of the market quite yet. And so, listen, risk reward wise, you could, a lot of smart money. There's a lot of places to hide money. Disney, if we look at it on a weekly.
Yeah, Disney is a good example, actually. If you take a look here, after 3 years of no growth, all of a sudden in 2018, they're expected to grow their earnings 24%, and I'm sure that the market will become a lot more interested after basically 3 years of going nowhere.
Yeah, Nike did the same thing. The reason I like Disney is they only have to get streaming half right, and so we can see, listen. There's a lot of proving to do on the Disney side, but there's just a lot of strength. If we look at Google, stock's kind of been treaded water for a year and a half. But you can see the relative strength breaking out. I added some Friday. I don't know how in a world where the media has spent a year talking about Facebook, Netflix, even Microsoft. Google looks great. Listen, the market can pull back at any moment here, but again, and it didn't hold its all-time highs. But I think YouTube carries the stock for the next 3-4 years. So, like Google, what else looks good on the large cap?
Yeah. So, real quick on Google. Keep in mind that the last 2 earnings, the market reacted negatively to them, at least in a short-term perspective. Google gapped down, and after that, of course, it recovered. So next earnings are due in 7 days. Most large caps are looking really good. I mean, if you look at Microsoft or even Apple, I think it's setting up for a potential breakout, even though there are some rumors that iPhone sales are slowing down. Of course, we'll see.
That's not a rumor; it's inevitable.
Yeah, probably. Even though there are probably a billion more people waiting to jump on the mobile train, the Apple phones are relatively expensive, so I'm sure that they are not their target audience.
Let's go to your list. Let's see what's working and what isn't. Let's go to some smaller names and see.
Okay, so this is my list. As you can see, there's some new names in top 10 this week. This AYX is a new IPO. I think setting up a near all-time high. Let me pull up the chart real quick.
Yeah, it looks great. How old is that? How old is this company?
Oh, it's relatively new actually. It's about a year and a few months out.
It's already tripled. Wow.
It's already tripled, which it's not something unusual. I mean, if you take a look at many of the recent IPOs, so many of them have doubled and tripled.
Yep. All right, let's go back. Let's look at some other names on the list.
SQ number 2, it just continues to, every slight pullback is being bought. Let's say what else? ABMD, I think they also report earnings next week. It's setting up for a pre-earnings rally and a bounce from its 50-day here. Let's say if it can.
Yeah, I've never followed, again, medical, I've avoided this, but man, that's been on the list. How long, Ivan, has it been on our list?
On the list.
14 weeks.
Yeah, this is its 15th week.
6% still showed up on our list. Okay.
Yeah, so another biotech that it's interesting, it's PIIB. They had a monstrous breakout on some positive study a week ago, and they're just consolidating sideways and certainly showed relative strength today. I think this is also a name that you should be keeping an eye on because it spent such a long time going nowhere, and now all of a sudden is clearing new multi-year highs, or it's very close to that.
I saw this other couple traders were talking about ZTO, which is another biotech on our list.
ZTO is not a biotech; it's the Chinese Federal Express, basically.
Oh, Chinese Federal Express! Look at that.
No way. Yeah, definitely interesting breakout today. Momentum.
Funny, I heard the CEO of JD talking today at a conference. I was at the Fortune conference, and the CEO of JD.com, and he was talking about the Chinese consumer, how quaint it is that Prime offers 48-hour shipping, whereas in China, if it's not there in 24 hours, they're freaking out. So, so super interesting. So go back to that one we just.
Yeah, ZTO, I'm not sure which ones of the big companies are using their services, but e-commerce is booming all over the world, including in China. And it's normal a stock like this to be popular.
Yeah, I'm going to buy a few shares of that and just watch it. That is incredible. Look at the earnings too.
Yeah, definitely. From 9 cents in 2014. Expected to earn 85 cents this year. That's almost 10 times.
I'll do some work. If they're truly just a logistics company, that's an incredible story. Okay, so ZTO is not on our list, though, is it?
It's not yet on the list.
Okay, so that was one that popped up today.
I think some new names. It's an old new name, Ulta. I think it's setting up again.
I just like hearing you say Ulta. Can you say Ulta again?
Ulta.
Come on, say it like an American.
Oh, that's what I say. Ulta. It's a big makeup retail chain, and after a huge pullback,
kind of like a Chipotle. It kind of looks like a Chipotle's does.
Kind of, yes. It pulled up 30%.
Look at a chart of CMG. The same thing fell like.
Well, CMG had a much deeper pullback for other reasons. Because they were poisoning people apparently, or
Ulta's Cosmetics didn't poison anybody, and it still pulled back.
Ulta, I mean, if you consider that
Ulta,
that's what I said. And if you consider that it was a $5 stock in 2009,
oh my goodness, don't make me feel bad.
Last year it reached over 300. I think it's allowed.
This is shocking.
Yes, you should blame your wife, because probably she's shopping there and she didn't let you know about that stock.
Who's Ulta have? Sephora. Is they own Sephora?
No, actually, Louis Vuitton
Owns the Sephora. And they're doing even better.
Sephora. And it's a French company, and of course they own a lot more than that. Like it's a huge French conglomerate. And if you remember,
I talked about it a few weeks ago.
About a year and a half ago, I was pitching that stock to you. You said you're not interested. Let's take a look.
No, Ivan keeps track of my losers. I thank you, Ivan, for that. The good news is I got a few right too. But yes, great call. You also had a good call last week on Meli, which I didn't take the trade. MELI.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing some interesting rotation. As we know, emerging markets have been struggling the past few months.
But it held on the best. Look at that.
Yes, and now all of a sudden we're seeing some slight rotation into those names.
I think anytime Trump gets in trouble, the emerging stocks rally. So his rhetoric keeps him down, but when he has a bad day, these stocks rally. So I mean, we're still in these things don't recover in a day. Mercado Libre is a much leaner internet business. Right. So yeah, Mercado Libre is just a plain leader in Latin America. Doesn't have the weight of the trade war on it. Okay, let's go back to your list. Just a couple more names. So you can see a lot of our ideas are already there. Stitch Fix, Square, Green, Zendesk, Twilio continues to be on the system. I met the CEO of Twilio, a really smart guy. Wix. So not much is changing. It's the same. Is there any other new names? Just keep going. What just showed up 3 weeks?
So we have Baidu
back on. I've been kind of beat up and around in that stock, but Baidu's back on that list.
Baidu, we have MB is back on the list. It's also an old stock. This one is a new one, STRL. Let's take a quick look. STRL. It's just setting up on multiple time frames. I think it's looking good for a breakout. It's not a sexy business. It's a heavy construction and building services. But
earnings look pretty good. I don't know what the story is for that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely growth is impressive.
I think it probably showed up on the list because of the growth story. Okay.
Yeah, and as I said, Baidu is back. It continues to set up. I think that level around 270 to 75. It's an important pivot.
Yeah.
And if it clears it, we might see another leg higher.
Yeah, I've been jerked around a little bit, but that one.
Definitely from all the Chinese stocks, probably Baidu and ZTO are the two that currently look
the strongest. I agree.
Constructive. And
I agree. Baidu looked terrible about 3 weeks ago, but yeah, it's come back.
Most of the rest are either extended or broken.
Okay.
They need more time to set up.
And on the swing side, what's interesting?
On the swing side, there's not that much interesting this year. I'm really watching the banks right now, because today we saw a significant breakout in many of them. And I think currently banks trade more in relation to the action in the interest rates than based on earnings. And today we saw a slight spike in interest rates, and the banks had a huge day. And I mean, stocks like Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley, I think, are coiling, and they have some upside potential, and they're reporting earnings later this week.
Yeah,
I think they look interesting on the swing side, and JP Morgan as well, if they can keep that momentum.
JP Morgan has been the most PR and marketing wise around fintech and new investments, and they launched their JP Morgan launched their kind of digital bank. Look not bad. Look not bad. Okay.
So some of the retailers are setting up, for example, this one, Five Below. I have no idea what they sell. I've never been to their store, but their chart looks good.
Yeah, the retail stuff. Okay. Yeah, some of these Kohl's look good. KSS, I wouldn't go near these stores, but
calls. Yeah, it's trying to bounce from its 50-day and previous level of potential support. So yeah, it's good for a swing. I think it might be good for a swing.
I think the story is Netflix is the headline. I think it'll take a few more companies. I don't even know why Netflix was down, to be honest, because it's probably just.
They said that their subscribers growth slowed down.
Of course they did. There's only so many people in the world. So, but I think that'll be the story. I think
considering that Netflix has more than doubled this year, I think having a 10% negative earnings reaction it's not.
Yeah, Eddie was telling me today that it was down. It's down today more than it was worth 3 years ago. That's a pretty incredible stat.
Yeah, Netflix is one of the biggest growth stories in the US for the past 15 years, along with Amazon. So we know, you all know that it's priced for perfection, and
yeah, there's no real reason. It just happens sometimes. Okay, all right. So we'll hit it again next week. I don't think much has changed since last week. I think we got the big earnings season, and there's just a lot of rotation, some rotation going on, and China's still strong. I mean, China, the Shanghai index has been slaughtered, but the internet companies continue to thrive.
The US internet companies are super strong. Last week we saw that so-called pre-earnings momentum rally in many of the big tech stocks like Microsoft, Google, Amazon. And now it will be interesting next week to see how the market will actually react to their actual numbers. Since expectations are very high, so it will be really interesting to see the actual market reaction, because strong bull markets typically discount bad news.
Yeah, and if we see if Netflix opens at 340, it's basically 2 months of gains gone. That's it. Just gives you some perspective. Okay. All right. So good luck, everybody, the rest of the week. Ivan, thanks for...
Thanks, Howard.
Thanks, Market Smith, for sponsoring and give us the charts, and we'll see you next Monday.
Yeah.